Shalom, sister, shalom, kohalo Yahweh Ba'ashem, Hamashiach Malak Yahushai, all honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So the topic of conversation today is motherhood. So a sister asked, could I do a video on balancing out staying at home as a wife and mother and not feeling down in the spirit if it's your lot to stay at home and not work? She said, Salaki, because sometimes it's common to feel like we're useless since we don't have our own money and have to ask our husbands for everything. So this is the perfect question. And we kind of touched on this topic on the sisters chat last week. It was balancing motherhood and on via Zoom. So if sisters can try to get on those Zoom calls, it will be real beneficial through the spirit. So all praise to the Most High, we can touch on this because a lot of sisters feel like this. A lot of sisters, come from working every day or going to school every day to becoming a stay-at-home mom. So I've been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years because my oldest is 7 this year. And I've been a stay-at-home wife for at least 10 years. And for me, the transition, I guess it wasn't that hard, that transition, because I was just kind of happy to not have to work again, to be honest, during that time. But then I do have my moments where I'm like, even now, I have my moments where I'm like, dang, it would be nice to, maybe make my own money or go to work. It'll be nice to do those things. But then sometimes I try not to give my mind over to it. And sometimes I might feel like, dang, it would be nice to go back to work. It would be nice to make my own money so I won't have to ask my husband for money. But honestly, I would rather be in a house with my children than working in a workplace, dealing with all those people, those spirits. You kind of have to weigh, like the pros and the cons, and you kind of have to make the best of your situation. But let's jump into the precepts. One of the things that kept me busy as a stay-at-home wife, not just as a stay-at-home mother yet, I'm going to get into that, but as a stay-at-home wife, was that I took the time to really study. And I had an endless amount of time. I didn't have children. I didn't have to go to work. So I had time to really study and to go into the word. And sisters should really take advantage of that. Man's goings is of the Lord, and how can we understand our own way? And sometimes the Most High might put you in a position where, you're a stay-at-home wife just so you can build yourself up through the spirit, so that you're able to learn how to build your children up through the spirit. Because children will later come down the line, Lord willing, if the Most High sees fit. So now is the time, for sisters to really build themselves up through the spirit and really give yourself over to the Most High so that you're able to have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to teach your children. And that just goes back into Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So our main goal as mothers, as wives, is to also prepare ourselves for children. So we have to have in our mind that we're going to train up our child. So we have to be able to go into the law and tell our children, look, hey, today is a Sabbath day. This is the Bible, the book, chapter, verse. We have to be able to break things down to them so that they're able to understand. So you really want to make sure that you're studying to show yourself approved to your children as well. Okay? So that they don't depart from the law, statutes, and commandments. And I like to look at the mother in 2 Maccabees, chapter 7, how she had 7 sons, and that's a heavy lot. She had 7 sons, and she had to train all her children up in the law that they did not depart from. If this woman wasn't a good mother, then all of her children would have never been tortured for the Lord. They would have never gotten tortured. They would have gave in, and the youngest one would have accepted that gift. Let me get the precept. Verse 24. Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, whilst the youngest was yet alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and happy man if he would turn from the laws of his fathers, and that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with affairs. But when the young man would in no case hearken to him, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she would counsel the young man to save his life. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself toward him, laughing in a cruel tyrant, to scorn, spake in her country language on this matter: O my son, have pity upon me, that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. So she endured the troubles of education for her children, meaning that she had to teach them the law, statutes, and commandments. And when you think about it, you got Exodus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, Leviticus. These are all laws that sisters should be studying to show their children. Because it's not just up to your husband, because your husband is going to be at work, Lord willing. So you have all this time with your children. It's your job to endure the troubles of education, not just only mathematics, science, all of that stuff, but also educating them on the law. So you have this time to get yourself together so that if this were to ever happen to your children, Lord forbid, they would know how to handle themselves. Because if they don't know the law, statutes, and commandments, that's going to be on you. And that's why the Lord gives sisters the blessing of the opportunity to be able to get themselves together before they have children. So you really have to use this time that the Lord gave you, if you don't have any children, to build yourself up through the Spirit to be able to teach them. Okay, verse 28, I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth and all that is therein, and consider that God made them of things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren. So she was obviously teaching her children wisdom, that they were going to be received again with mercy from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. This is the time where you can build and study precepts on being the Lord being merciful, about the Lord receiving us again. So it's a lot of precepts that sisters, have to go over and talk to their children about so that they can have that understanding. But, we can finish. While it's yet she was speaking these words, the young man said, Whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. So he still was not going to obey the king's commandment, and he departed not from the law. So you have to be able to train your children up. It doesn't matter how old they are, and tell them daily, and tell them, look, you can't depart from these law, statutes, and commandments. And ask them, hey, you're going to have to die for the Lord if the time comes. So we have to pretty much, y'all, what I'm trying to say is we have to study to show ourselves approved, to make sure to the Lord, to make sure that we're able to teach our children these things as well. And I liked how the little boy said, and thou that has, Salakia, verse 31, and thou that has been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of God. So this little boy knew that Antiochus would not escape the hands of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So he knew that vengeance was of the Lord. For we suffer because of our sins. He knew that they got jammed up in that situation because they went off as a people. Because these are the things that his mother was teaching him. And he also knew that, and though the living Lord be angry with us little while for our chastising and correction, yet shall he be made one again with his servants. But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the servants of God. For thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of Almighty God, who seeth all things. So I'm just going to leave it off there. Oh, but let's just do 37. But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching God that he would speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thou by torments and plagues must confess that he is alone God. So I just want to read verse 40, y'all. So this man died undefiled, and put his whole trust in the Lord. So we have to build ourselves up through the Spirit as wives to put our whole trust in the Lord, to understand what's to come for our people, Jacob's trouble, the Lord's mercy, all of these things, so that we're able to teach our children. So we have to really sup with the Lord. And we have to ask the Lord for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And you can also ask your husband, this is a time for you and your husband to really study together as well. Because when the children come, it's a little harder to take the time to study, but I'll get into that in a minute. But now you have this time to really grow and build through the Spirit, not only with yourself and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, but also with your husband. Okay? And I wanted to get Psalms 127:3. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So these children that you have, they're a heritage of the Lord. These are the Lord's children. And let me get one more precept. It's Exodus 13:12. Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opened the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. So we have to sanctify unto the Lord all of the firstborn that comes out of our womb. Bless you with a firstborn male. You have to sanctify this boy unto the Lord. And you have to sanctify unto the Lord all of these children. And sanctify means set apart or declare as holy. Consecrate, purify. So these children have to be holy. For we know that the law is spiritual and just and holy. So your children have to know the law. They have to be sanctified in the law. There's Romans 7:12. Wherefore the law is holy and the commandment holy and just and good. So they have to be sanctified in the law, statutes, and commandments. Holy unto the Lord. So, and it's really an honor to raise children up from the womb until they come out of the womb from birth as Israelites. Not everyone has that the honor of doing that. So it's a blessing, and that's something that we can't take for granted. So if you have that time, as a wife, stay-at-home wife, you may be waiting for the Lord to bless your womb. Well, while you're waiting and having that patience, this is the time to show the Lord that, look, I'm building myself up through the Spirit to be the best mother that I can be towards children, because I have faith that you will bless me one day with children, Lord willing, if it's according to your will. So you have to be well studied, and that is the great time to do it. And 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So that's about 3 times that, we have to talk to our children about being an Israelite in the law, statutes, and commandments. That's kind of like a 3 for perfection. And sisters have to understand that this is how you have to balance. You kind of have to find a balance in reading to your children and getting stuff done around the house, and making time for you to read and study while also maintaining your house. And whether it's you get on a schedule where you wake up and the first thing you do in the morning is you read scriptures, or you have a precept ready for your children to read and to go over and to gain understanding on. And you can question them throughout the day, or if your children are old enough to read, they should be able to read to you. But more so for new mothers, even when you're pregnant, read to your baby while you're pregnant. And while you're feeding your baby, you can always pull your phone out and read to your baby a chapter. While you're breastfeeding, you can read to them a chapter. You can still balance reading the scriptures and performing, your wifely duties and motherly duties. And sometimes we can say that it gets hard, but we have to make that our priority. When you first wake up in the morning, to read some scriptures, something that you need to meditate on through the Spirit, and when you go to sleep at night and throughout the day. These are things that we have to do within our household. All right, you don't want to be that 1 Timothy 5:13 sister. And with that, they learn. Let's go to the full chapter. This 1 Timothy chapter 5. Although this is talking about the younger widows, but you still don't want to be that sister where you're idle and wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers, also busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. So, and that's why it says, verse 14, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, and give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. And that's exactly what the mother did in 2 Maccabees chapter 7. She didn't give the adversary occasion to speak reproachfully, and she guided her house that they all died for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So if you're a younger woman, and you're married, you have this opportunity to learn how to guide your house from older sisters, from the word of the Lord, and how not to give the adversary occasion to speak reproachfully. And let's go to Titus chapter 2. All right, I want to just start at verse 5. To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai be not blasphemed. So these are all things that sisters have time to meditate on while you're a stay-at-home while you're a stay-at-home wife and a stay-at-home mother. Okay? And you have to learn how to speak those things which become sound doctrine. You have to be able to have a sound doctrine, and that you're able to defend the gospel. Being behavior becometh holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, and to love their children. Okay, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. And honestly, I can't stress enough for sisters to really study and to go into the law. Teachers of good things. The law is good and just and holy, like we had just brought out. So you should be able to teach your children these laws. Okay? So now that you have time to gather all of this understanding and knowledge and wisdom, you'll be able to kind of be at peace when your children come. You don't feel like, well, how am I going to teach them this? And I don't know this and I don't know that. You have time right now to kind of get yourself together. Even while you're pregnant, you still have time to get yourself together. You have a grace period to ask the Most High for mercy and to get yourself together and ask Him to put the Spirit on you to be the best mother that you can be to your children, and the best wife that you can be for your husband. Because after you have a baby, it's going to be spirits coming. You might have, Lord forbid, the spirit of postpartum depression. Lord forbid, but that's something that sisters realistically deal with. You might have, and just based off of experience and based off of counsels, after sisters have babies, that spirit will try to break up your family, your marriage, your household. That spirit will try to make you think that you're not a good mother, that you're not a good wife. So you're going to have your adversary, Satan, try to come in and tear your household down. Because that's the last thing that Satan wants to do, is to see a righteous Israelite couple and a righteous family raising up righteous seed, raising up the heritage of the Lord. So you really have to build yourself up through the spirit, understanding that, look, it's not going to be easy being a mother. It's not going to be easy being a stay-at-home wife. Okay? But you're going to trust in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right, this is 2 Esdras 2:15. Mother, embrace thy children and bring them up with gladness. Make their feet as a pillar, for I have chosen thee, said the Lord. So you want to embrace your children, and you want to bring them up with gladness, serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You want your children to rejoice when it's the feast days. You want your children to rejoice when they read in the scriptures and they hear in accounts. And you want to embrace your children and let them know, hey, look, the Lord loves you. Y'all are a special people. I love you. I care about you. And I want you to serve the Lord with fear and trembling. Okay, you want to bring them up with gladness. And a lot of times we might find ourselves getting frustrated with our children, especially if you're at home with them all day. You might get frustrated. You might find yourself, getting a little angry. But sometimes you have to rebuke that spirit and understand that the Lord kind of instructed us to bring them up with gladness. Proverbs 23:24, the father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him. Verse 25, thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice. So you want to have joy of your children, and you want to have a wise child. And the only way that your child is going to be wise as if they have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the laws, statutes, and commandments and who they are. And that kind of helps me, honestly, through the day. I love my children. I love to see them rejoice. I rejoice over them when I see them, speaking wisely. My daughter was just saying the other day, she told my son, she said, you can't befriend everybody. You pretty much have to prove people. And I was actually happy to hear that from a 5-year-old girl. I hear my son rebuking, I rebuke you. You be rebuking people. And these things I greatly rejoice in. Because I'm teaching I'm not trying to, put myself on a pedestal, because, we're not perfect. But the main point is that I greatly rejoice in my children because I take the time to tell them who they are and how to move in this society. Okay? And sisters, we have to greatly rejoice in our children. And you'll be happy about your children if they're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? Even though it couldn't be frustrating, you're still dealing with children. But at the end of the day, we have to remember to greatly rejoice in them. Psalms 113:9. He maketh the barren woman to keep house and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. So the Most High made us barren sisters. It's been times where a lot of sisters thought that they couldn't have children. But he made us barren, the barren, to keep house and to be a joyful mother of children. So you have to be, in a good spirit when you're raising your children. And like I said, sometimes it can get frustrated, it can get hard, but whatever it is that you need help or working on, express that to your husband, and y'all can study it. You can go over precepts on how to stay in the spirit. You can meditate on spirits on how to become a better mother. But ultimately, the Lord instructs us to be joyful and to embrace our children, and that we'll have joy over them if they're wise. And the sister also brought out, how not to feel useless. You're never useless. Understand that somebody going to need you for everything. Your husband going to need you to put his clothes out before he get home from work. Your kids going to want you to make this and make that. You ain't never going to be useless. Understand that. You always going to be on your toes and on your feet. So don't ever feel like you're useless, because you're preparing yourself to, number one, either be a mother and to be, a better wife. So you're not useless at all. All right. I wanted to bring out Proverbs 31:11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Your husband is supposed to trust that you're going to raise up his children righteously in the law, that you're going to have things together in the house. So your husband is going to trust in you, that he doesn't have a need of spoil, and that you're going to do him good and not evil all the days of your life. All right. And now you're never going to be useless, because you're going to be doing these things as a Proverbs 31 woman. It's going to be moments where you have to work willingly with your hands. You might have to fix the kitchen sink. You might have to caulk up the tub. You might have to clean the carpet with a machine. You might have to paint or patch a hole in a wall. You might have to do all of these things. So you're going to be working willingly with your hands. You're always going to be doing something. And honestly, that's what keeps me going. I have to be busy. I got to clean the carpet. I got to do this. I do need to paint this wall over again. All right, well, I got to water the garden. I try to keep myself busy. And that's really what sisters have to do. We can't be idle. We have to be, kind of on our toes and busy. 14, she is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. So you're going to be up. You be going to the grocery store. Also, while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. So like y'all for the baby, but you're going to be up. You got to multitask. Like, I'm multitasking now. I'm trying to take care of my baby, wash the clothes, fold the clothes up, clean up, and do this video at the same time. So you're going to be up. You're going to be busy. You're going to have to wake up early, or you're going to stay up late at night, like it says. And you're going to get stuff, kind of in order for your household. She layeth her hands to spindle, and her hands to hold the distaff. So also, if you're a stay-at-home wife, you have that time to really execute on how to sew perfectly, on how to get things together perfectly, how to make perfect garments. Everything should kind of be perfect. You taking this time to sit down and sew, build up your skill in your craft, build up your unleavened bread recipe. You have time to really get yourself together through the Spirit. Okay. I wanted to jump down to verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. And she opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. So we don't eat the bread of idleness. We're not lazy. We're not sitting down all day on TikTok, on our phone. You might have those days where you want to break, of course, but ultimately, we're on the move, and we're doing things around our house, and we're doing things for our husband, for our children, or for other sisters, or for the nation of Israel. But we don't eat the bread of idleness. All right, her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. So if you building up your skills and doing all of these things, ultimately you're going to eat the fruit of your hands. You're going to get the fruit of your hands. Your children are going to call you blessed. And your husband is going to praise you. Oh, yeah, my wife know how to do this. My wife got this going on. My wife got that going on. Yeah, oh, you're the best mom. You'll hear these things. These are the things that you're going to look forward to as a mother. Okay? Let's jump down to verse 31. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Okay, your own works is going to praise you in the gates. Okay, so everything that you do, whether it's you cleaning your house every day, you vacuuming the floor every day, you cooking dinner every day for your husband, you being that pillar of rest for your husband, you're going to get praised in the gates. You might think that it's unnoticed. You might think that, oh, maybe my husband don't really notice this. Maybe he doesn't know that. But the Lord notices it. And he's going to give every man according to their works. It's Proverbs 15:3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. It's Romans 2:6. Who will render to every man according to his deeds. In Revelation 22:12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. So everything that you do, the Lord is looking at it. Don't ever think that it's going unnoticed. Don't ever think that because you've been washing the dishes nonstop and you've been training up your kids. No, you have a big job. You have a big role. You're a keeper of your house. That's a big role to play. And honestly, what I've kind of learned is to be grateful for that role, because at least we don't got to be in the workplace. That's the last thing that I want to be. Even though sometimes I'll be thinking about, oh, it's nice, I might want to go to work. No, I don't want to go to work. When you really think about it, it's honestly safe to just be in a house, especially in this day and age. And the sister also mentioned, asking your husband for money. That's definitely something to talk about with your husband. Some sisters may have a set allowance monthly. You know how y'all see on TikTok, sisters be like, oh, my husband got paid, so I got paid too. It's okay. You shouldn't be ashamed to ask your husband for money, because that's your head. And at the end of the day, like the Lord said, our desire will be towards our husband, and he shall rule over thee. So it's okay to ask your husband, hey, can I have a little bit of money for this, that, and a third? Or if you ask your husband, hey, do you think that I can save? Salakia. Hey, do you think that maybe we can save up some money? Salakia. Hey, do you think that we can save up some money so I can start my own business, and then maybe that way you can have your own money again? So let's touch more on what you said, sis. I want to make sure I get everything. Okay, balancing out, stay-at-home wife as a mother. So, like I said, balancing it out is being busy. You got to be busy, and you got to have a to-do list. When I wake up in the morning, I might have my to-do list, or in my mind, look, I got to go do this. I got to do this, that, and the third. Ecclesiastes 26:16. As the sun when it ariseth in the high heavens, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. So the beauty of a good wife is you're going to be up and at it. You're going to be up early in the morning. You're going to have your to-do list ready. Okay, you got to throw a load in the laundry. You got to go water the garden. You got to go walk the dog. You got to change the baby diaper. You got to make breakfast. You're going to have a to-do list. And you're going to make sure that your house is in order. And you're going to try to the best of the ability to get your house in order. Okay? It might be some days, and we talked about this on a sister call, it might be some days you're like, whew, I'm beat. I need to sit down. And like an elder sister said on the call, sometimes those dishes can wait. Sometimes that load of laundry can wait. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your body so that you're able to take care of your household and your children so that you can be a keeper of your house. Because when you're not taking care of your body, you're going to make yourself sick. And how are you going to be able to take care of your husband and your children and your household up? So you want to make sure, you're not being hard on yourself, but that you are not being idle and that you're making sure that you're getting things done and you're ordering your house. And sometimes you got to multitask. Sometimes you might have to go ahead and braid somebody's hair up, breastfeed the baby at the same time, braid your son's hair up. You're going to have to learn how to multitask too. And that all comes with time and experience. Okay? If you're ever feeling down, like, I'm going to stay at home. I don't get to be out like I used to. I don't really know myself. And, I don't know if I want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore. And I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. Meditate on Ecclesiastes 30 and 23. Love thy own soul and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee, for sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit therein. So you kind of want to rebuke that spirit, because we have to remember that through the precepts we get understanding. The Lord kind of instructed us to be a joyful mother of children. So we have to be joyful in the role that the Lord gave us. Okay? And we also have to understand what it means to be content as well. Philippians 4:11, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. So we have to be content. We have to be content with the fact that we might have to ask our husbands for money, or the fact that we got to get up at the crack of dawn every morning to deal with the kids and make breakfast and do all of these things. This is our lot, and this is something that we have to do joyfully and be content with it. Also, I want to touch on being a keeper at home, being a wife and a mother, is that you kind of want to give yourself over. You want to give yourself over to hospitality, and you want to make sure that your husband is being pleased and you're being hospitable to your husband. So if your husband comes home from work, you want to make sure. But this is what I do. I'll ask my husband, is there anything specifically that you need me to do today? So when you get home from work, you're not disappointed. So whatever it is that he needs me to do, I'll try to the best of my ability to make sure that that's done. So I know my husband likes for his all his stuff to be laid out when he come home from work. He likes for the dog to be walked before he comes home from work, so he don't gotta walk him. He likes certain things, so I have to try to give myself over to hospitality. Okay? Let's get the definition. Okay? Hospitality, the friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, or strangers. Hospitality, friendliness. So just being overall friendly towards your husband, although he's not a guest or a visitor or a stranger, but it's just about being able to entertain your husband, even if it's with different meals, your children with different meals, with fun ideas, fun things, and just being all around friendly. But like Titus 1:8 says, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, and temperate. And these are some of the things that, we have to be as an Israelite woman. It's 1 Peter 4:9. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. So we have to use that hospitality to our husbands without grudging. Because sometimes you might get frustrated. Well, I got to do this, and you get to go to work, and Salakia, I got to fold all the clothes up, and I got to take care of the kids, and I got to do this. So I don't want to fix your plate. I don't want to put your clothes out. These are some of the things that sisters might think, because you might feel frustrated or overwhelmed. But that's why I encourage sisters, Lord willing, that if you can take a break, it's okay to take a break. Okay? Ask your husband, say, hey, I might need a break. But you don't want to, you have to use hospitality towards your husband without grudging and being like, here go your shoes, here go your outfit. Slam the plate down on the floor, walk away. On the table and walk away. Here you go. And walk away. We can't do that. Ecclesiastes 9 and 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. So if you find yourself being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, do it with all your might. Go above and beyond for your household. Whether that's, making new dinners every night, making sure your house is clean. This is something that we all have to strive to do. Whatever we find ourselves doing, we have to really do it with all of our might and give it our all and try our best. And again, we have to do all things understanding that, again, we have to be joyful. We have to be joyful, a joyful mother. But I want to give Philippians 2:14 and 14 through 16, do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Yahushua, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. So you're not laboring in vain. Being a stay-at-home wife and a mother, you're not laboring in vain. And we already kind of touched on the Lord is going to render everyone according to their works. But you also want to remember that you have to do these things and do your duty as a wife and a mother without murmuring and disputings. Okay? So that we're blameless. And we all do this to shine our lights in the midst of a perverse and crooked nation. We try to raise our children up and build ourselves up through the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai and the law, statutes, and commandments in this perverse world. So we have to remember that, we're also an example to our nation. Okay? And to your children. We're an example to your children. All right? And this is why I also encourage sisters to get thee besides a sister of understanding. So if you are, sometimes you might need a sister on speed dial. If it's an elder sister in your congregation, or it's a sister that got a lot of children, and you got questions as a new mom, don't be afraid to reach out to that sister. Don't be afraid if you see the sister of understanding at being a stay-at-home mom or a wife or etc. Get thee betimes unto her. A foot where the steps of his door, meaning you're going to be there. You're going to be there, and you're always going to be asking his sister so that you can gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All right, so all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. I hope this video was helpful to sisters. Just remember to rebuke Satan. If you're feeling down and feeling useless, you're not useless. You're important. You're very important, and you play a very important role in your household. Understand that, okay? All right, you want to definitely rebuke Satan. All right, and if it's your lot to not work, then we have to just be content with that until the Lord blesses us with, a stay-at-home job or our own business, okay? But don't ever feel useless, and, don't ever hate asking your husband for stuff, because ain't nothing wrong with that. That's just the lot that the Lord gave sisters. Our desires should be towards our husband, okay? So all praises to the Most High. Lord willing, this video was helpful to sisters. I love y'all. Shalom.